Let's continue our conversation. Josh Orton of Progressives United Skyping in from Madison, Wisconsin, and joining us live from Washington, D.C., Newsmax White House political correspondent John Gizzi. So the question of the minimum wage, Josh, didn't Charlie Crist essentially say that it's worth it to support a policy that could kill jobs?
Well, I'm not exactly sure how to parse that, but if he did imply that, I disagree with it. I don't think jobs are lost by an increase in minimum wage. But I think what you're seeing is a pattern across the country of Republicans running from an increase in the minimum wage. We just saw Chris Christie the other day said he's tired of hearing about it. Now, if that's not out of touch, I'm not sure what is. I really think that in a turnout election in a midterm, for Republican governors to be running from such a crucial issue with the economy how it is a major mistake.
John Gizzi, it's been said for years that raising the minimum wage is a job killer, but that perception doesn't seem to resonate with a whole lot of people nationally. Polls have shown year in, year out, even during the heyday of the contract with America, that minimum wage increases were ahead in the polls. Who's right on this question in Florida?
The person who is opposed to raising the minimum wage is absolutely correct, and I would just say, with respect to Josh and to Governor Crist, ask people who start their own small coffee shops and would like to hire teenagers to work after school and simply can't afford a minimum wage. Ask people who rely on part-time employees and are being killed by regulations that require an increase in the cost of health care. The minimum wage works against both part-time employees and young people who want part-time jobs while in school, and in the process, it forces small businesses to go underwater. No, it should not be raised at this point, and I'm with politicians who will stand firm and say no on it.
Go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was going to say, I think the Republican Party is living in an America from at least 20 or 25 years ago. I remember back in high school, my friend got his first job at 16 at McDonald's down the street. That America doesn't exist anymore. The workers who are working minimum wage jobs now are not, for the most part, teenagers. They're men and women who are trying to survive as adults, trying to feed their family, trying to keep the lights on. This is a different economy than it was 25 years ago. And so this idea that the minimum wage is only for teenagers is frankly now a myth. And I think that the fact that Republicans are still living in that world and still talking about the minimum wage that way shows how disconnected they are with voters.
Well, it sets up a whole nother issue. How did the economy get so bad, Josh? But let me move to something else here, and that is the coverage of this campaign in Florida between Governor Rick Scott and former Governor Charlie Crist. The shorthand is, oh, it's personal, and the charges are flying back and forth, and there's more heat than light. Is a tough, passionate race contrary to the health of the Republic, John Gizzi?
No, absolutely not. Tough, passionate races, J.D., are what America is all about. And I would simply say that a good reading of Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, Team of Rivals, and the campaigns Lincoln went through in 1860 and 1864, followed by a good reading of David Piotrowska's presidential trilogy, 1920, 1948, and 1960, will tell you hard campaigning, hitting hard, and a red meat discussion of issues is American and part of our history. We should be proud of it and welcome it.
And red meat discussion is what happened last night, but is it enough to keep Florida a red state? Josh Orton, I assume you say no, at least in this gubernatorial campaign.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I was watching that debate from Governor Rick Scott, and boy, I have never seen really something so awkward when he was asked whether he approved of moving an execution to accommodate his attorney general's political fundraiser. He didn't have an answer. And frankly, look, there's going to be hard questions going back and forth, and Florida is Florida and has many large media markets. It's going to be one of the most expensive races in the country. So of course these kind of things are going to come up. It's going to come down to turnout again. And I think when you see Governor Scott refusing to answer these tough questions, I really have to think that he's going to have to come up with a new plan in the last couple of weeks.
Turnout is the key. John Gizzi, can the Republicans turn out the vote? 10 seconds.
Yes, they can, and a very simple way to do it is to just remind voters of Charlie Crist when he was a Republican, dubbed himself a conservative, tried desperately to be John McCain's running mate.
And there you have it. Time's up. Gents, thanks. We're coming right back.